Good morning. Good morning. How the devil are you doing this fine day? We may have a problem here. Just as that intro music was playing, I was notified that my mouse is almost out of juice. This poor beastie here is almost out of juice. So I'm going to be switching back and forth between mouse pad and something else, probably. I don't actually know how I'm going to cope with that. Lou Carney is in the house, so I'm just going to press Lou's button here. She has a button all of her own. So let me just rattle through very quickly before we get to the real crux of the matter. Dan Cullen's here at 7:23 this morning. So good morning to Dan. Good morning to Jim. Good morning to Mark. Good morning to Peter. Good morning to Gary. Good morning to Lou. Good morning to... I think that's about it for now. Anybody watching over on Instagram as well, good morning. If you're watching here in the UK, happy polling day. What's going on there? Yes, if you're watching in the UK, happy polling day. If you're watching in the US, then, as Gary Muirhead said, happy Independence Day. Can't say I blame you for having left the UK. And if you're watching anywhere else, I guess happy Tuesday. Thursday, happy Thursday. Let's try with that instead. I'm really liking the American trucker you've adopted this week. Very swish indeed. Yeah, well, I'm glad somebody noticed. Thank you very much. Now... Oh, God, this is going to make me popular. Now, as it is general election day here in the UK, I thought we would play a little game I like to call Tory or NFDC. I'm going to read you 4 statements, and I want you to guess whether I'm talking about the Conservative Party or the National Federation of Demolition Contractors. So when I read the 4 statements, I just need you to type in the chat either the word Tory, T-O-R-Y, or NFDC. There are no prizes. This is just for fun and just to get me in further trouble. So let's play Tory or NFDC. Can you believe I went to the trouble of making that? Yeah, it's a ridiculous way to earn a living. So, Tory or NFDC? Stand by your keypads or your phones. I need your answers. So here's our first statement. They favour the few over the many. Is that Tory or is that NFDC? I'll give you a couple of seconds to answer because I probably should have numbered these, but yeah, they favour the few over the many. Is that Tory or is that NFDC? Good morning to Ken Hatcher, who's just pitched up as well. Ken, we're playing Tory or NFDC, so bear with me. So the second statement is this. They stood by their friends and cronies even after they were found guilty of financial wrongdoing. Is that Tory or is that NFDC? The third statement is this. They oust those that refuse to toe the party line. Is that Tory or is that NFDC? Morning, Steve Williamson, who's just turned up. And the final statement is this. They held lavish parties when they were warned not to do so. Is that Tory or is that NFDC? So, lots of answers, lots of questions, lots of answers. And I can tell you that the correct answer in all 4 cases was both. Both, yes, both. If you said Tory or NFDC to any of those statements, and I can see some of you did, you were only partially correct. But if you said both, you deserve a large pat on the back because both did all of those things. There you are. Jim Turner, absolutely on the money. He says both. Both for all sounds about right. It really does. I've got a little bit more juice in my mouth now, which is not a euphemism, I promise you. So, without further ado, I'm going to roll the intro. Thank you for taking part in Tory or NFDC. I enjoyed that enormously. Without further ado, I'm going to roll the intro, post the question of the day, and get this show on the road. It is Thursday, the 4th of July, and this is show 747. So fasten your seatbelts and get ready for takeoff. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony, the walrus of demolition. In today's show, XCMG's electrifying new mining truck, case upgrades, its grader line, Huddig, hybrid, Huddig. Don't you just love being in control? And we're heading to Sweden for some high-rich demolition action. Plus, we're going to head back to Hillhead to meet a Midlands-based Sunward dealer who has some very nice things to say about the brand that he represents. But before we all get to all of that, we do have the matter, or the small matter, should I say, of today's mystery machine. So let me play this. Just gonna go back to the chat. Steve Williamson says, "Cracking cap." I think I've said that every day this week. Yeah, I'm bringing out the big guns, as it were. I'm just kind of feeling in a bit of a truckery kind of mood. I realise I wouldn't qualify, but that's what I'm after. Good morning, Chris. Says neither. Mark for PM. Oh no! I mean, the incumbents have made an absolute pig's ear of the thing, but really, I'd be a whole lot worse. I promise you. Peter McKenna, Tory or an FTC, both a shower of shite. He says. Dan Cullen, we're playing Tory or an FTC. He's playing custard and porridge. So we've already had a couple of guesses on our mystery machine today. Jim Turner is going for a Develondoza. Haven't shown it to him yet, but that's what he's going for. I think Dan Cullen had an early guess as well. He said, "Yeah, I bet it's a Komatsu wheel loader today." It isn't, but thank you for your guess. And I'm sure somebody else had a guess. There we are. Gary Muirhead reckons it's a JCB X220 hydrogen powered. It's none of those things. Bear with me. I'm about to. Oh, do excuse me. Oh, the pollen. Oh, the pollen. So we've played the animation. Let's have a look at what we've got to work with today. Here is your mystery machine. Yeah. What do you make of that then, people? I can tell you that it is definitely not a JCB X220 hydrogen-powered machine, and it's not. What were the other guesses? It is not. Where was Jim? Jim said Develondoza. It's not one of those either. So yes. Peter McKenna, demolition news for the hot seat with all its listeners as MPs. Now that would be interesting. Thank you very much indeed, Peter. Bless you. And bless you indeed. Bless you, my child. Thank you very much. So there's what you've got to work with. Any guesses, please let me have them. I'm going to take that away because I do need to very quickly remind you of our question of the day. And I'm saying I'm going to remind you of the question of the day. I'm not entirely sure I posted the question of the day. So bear with me for 2 ticks because I have a button that does that, which is that one. That's the question of the day. And I'm going to remind you of it, even though I've only just told you it. There we are. Now, 2 things. I can tell you that our mystery machine is already over and done with. I'll come back to that in a moment. But our question of the day, today comes once again from the ever inquisitive Mr. Gary Muirhead, and his question is this: which movie sequel is better than the original? Better than the original. Now, I reckon there's a few contenders. I would say that The Godfather 2 is better than The Godfather. I love The Godfather, but I think Godfather 2 is better. I also think that Toy Story 2 is better than Toy Story 1. But what about you? What movie sequel do you believe to be better than the original? I'd love to hear from you. And now here's one. I usually do these at the very end, but I'm going to tell you now. I agree with this 100%. Terminator 2. Terminator 2 was the best of the franchise by a country mile. Totally agree with that. Steve Williamson is saying Top Gun, second one was just awesome. I haven't seen it. Don't know. Dan Cullen is saying, what? How? Somebody has got the mystery machine. Yes. Chris Ford says, Mystery Machine does make a difference, even if I turn my phone. Not a chance. Mark Whiting is in agreement. It looks like I need to go and check out Top Gun Maverick because apparently it's very good. Very good. John Wick 2. John Wick 2 is an absolute belter. But I have to say, John Wick 4, I believe, was the best of the lot. The Prinoff Panther T7R. It's not one of those. I can tell you, the person that's actually got this is Garvin over on Instagram, and he has correctly identified our Mystery Machine as the Thwaites R9 Rotator. There you are. So, let's have I'm just going to write that down. So our league table now reads Steve Williamson, Dan Cullen, Garvin at Mostly Diggers, all on 3 points. I've also got 3 points, but I'm second to all of those guys on goal difference. But yes, we have our Mystery Machine is already solved. Let's have a look. Well done, says Gary Muirhead. Jim Turner says, yes, Top Gun Maverick is a good film and the original wasn't. Yeah, do you know, I mean, I do actually like Tom Cruise. Never really got too excited about Top Gun. Maybe it's just me. Steve says, he saw and remembered that at Hillhead. He may well have done. Yes, it was there. It was shown. And obviously it's a prototype, but it has been widely publicised. So I thought we'd get away with that one today. So yes, we now have 4 of us on 3 points. And there you are, Jim Turner saying, fair play, Garvin. Yeah, fair play indeed, my friend. Thank you very much indeed for taking part. You are now officially on the league table. So with that being said, shall we get on with the actual show itself? We did a bit of talking yesterday about all things electric. Tend to think of fairly small machines when we talk about all things electric. Our friends over in China, however, look at it a different way. Now, all things being equal, I'm hoping that is going to be at the Mine Expo show over in Las Vegas in September, end of September this year, because hopefully, all things being equal, we're going to be there and we'll be reporting from there live. Dan Cullen, going back to our Mystery Machine, says, wow, that is a nice looking machine. Dumpers as of September. All sites must have cabbed dumpers. Yes, indeed, they must. Long overdue with that one, in my opinion, but that's just me. Peter McKenna on the XCMG. Now that would be better than a monster truck flattening cars. I'd pay to see that. So would I. I'd pay to see that as well. Ken Hatcher saying there'd be some battery on that. Ain't that the truth? Cracking outfit. At least they have the balls to unlock some brands to build something like that. Yeah, indeed. Indeed. I hope that the bracing in the skip is just a temporary measure. If not, it looks like a nightmare for muck and rocks to stick to. I didn't look at that closely, but well spotted, Jim. I'm going to go and take another look at that as soon as the show is over. So, yes, big electric trucks. Nothing quite like it, in my opinion. Obviously, we've already got them in various forms, with overhead cables and what have you. But yeah, XCMG pushing the envelope. Love to see it. And let's face it, if anyone's going to push the envelope in battery technology, it's likely to be the Chinese, because they kind of own the market, don't they? Back after this.
If you are enjoying this episode, please consider supporting the show. You can leave us a tip at buymeacoffee.com/demolition news.
Now, a couple of things here. Mick Norton says, Mark, constant echo on sound. Bear with me. Audio. I've got the echo cancellation on at this end. So I fear, Mick, that is going to be a problem at your end. And I'm actually listening to my feed as well, and I'm not getting any echo here, so I think that may well be you. Dan Cullen says, question, how does this work? As XCMG, Demolition and Lugong are not classed as valuable assets on a company, as many companies have these? I'm not sure I get what the question is there. Garvin says the sound is fine on Instagram. Jim Turner says no echo on his end either. No problem at all. Andy here is here from Northern Trackland. He says, morning all, apologies for my tardy attendance. Not a problem. The only problem you've had today, you've missed our one and only round of Tory or NFDC, the game show that parents and children alike love to see, Tory or NFDC. Dan Cullen is also saying no echo on my side. Peter McKenna saying gremlins on Facebook. Could well be, but as I say, I've got you coming through, or I've got me coming through loud and clear. So I'm not getting any echo at this end. So as I say, I think it may well be at your end. I think we've done the lead into this. So should we just have a look at the new case graders? I think we probably should. Good film. I've never driven grader. Anybody else? You have to forgive me. I'm trying to charge my my mouse here about a minute or a minute and 30 seconds at a time, just to get enough juice in it to get me through the show. Let me know if you've driven a case grader or anybody else's grader. Coming back in a moment with Huddig, and I know that tends to get people rather excited, so stick around. Right, so going back to the chat, Gary, well done. No, echo. Here, Mick, it must be at your end. Have to invest in duck technology, as ducks, quacks don't echo. Is that right? I've heard it before. Is that right? I've never checked. Dan Cullen says it's when a company goes bust is how these are valued when liquidator insolvency starts. They are saying that Demolition, XCMG, and Lugong have no value. I can't believe that's the case. Compared to Cat, Lee Bear, Komatsu, and Hitachi. I mean, I kind of see where you're coming from on that. I thought you were saying they had no value at all. Certainly would argue with that. That's a hot case, says Dan Card. Indeed it is. I'd love to get an opportunity to operate a grader. I wouldn't even know where to begin. Not entirely sure what all the functions do. I can fathom out backhoe loaders and wheel loaders and excavators. Graders, alien to me. Completely alien. Now, I promised you some Huddig, and I'm going to show... I was thinking about Huddig, by the way. I was trying to come up with a brand of car that kind of has the same effect on people. Obviously, we were talking yesterday about Liebherr being, either the BMW or the Rolls Royce of the excavator world or the demolition excavator world. Where is Huddig? And I reckon it's the Alfa Romeo of backhoe loaders. And I say that for a very good reason. It's not necessarily a mainstream brand. I think most people, when you're thinking backhoes, you're thinking JCB, Case, Cat, those sort of people. But it is absolutely beloved by those that know. So let's have a bit of Huddig, shall we? That is some piece of kit, right? Totally awesome piece of kit. Now let's have a look. Now that's smart, says Steve Williamson. I know Steve is a big fan of the Huddig brand. This is a fantastic comparison. Jim Turner, Huddig is the Mercedes Unimog of the plant world. Unimog. Don't see many of those around. Steve comes back and says, probably my favorite type of machine. Huddig is top, but that's as good. It is, well, it is obviously a Huddig, but it's hybrid rather. Jim Turner says, when my numbers come in, I'm having one. Good point. Let's have a look. What we got. Going back to graders. Mick Norton says, I've driven Cat 12 and 14G, Evelyn Austin 99H, Blornox BK12, Galleon and Alice Chalmers graders. The latter mini grader was air portable and droppable, and we used to parachute it out in 3 places in Malaya and reassemble on the ground when located. Wow. Let's have a look. The Huddig I drove at ConExpo, it was hybrid and an absolute dream, he says. MP Landscapes, happy day to all. Happy day to you, my friend. Thank you very much for being here. And he also says, I'm saying he, could well be she, don't forget to vote, everyone. Don't forget to vote. Yes, indeed. Let's have a look. I'm going to come back to a point that Dan Cullen has made. Chris Ford says, think that backhoe would be all right in a field, bit large for around houses. RB did the Dynaho years ago. That would have been a good mystery machine until I've mentioned it. May save that for another time then in that case. Dan, so this is Dan's first comment. I'm going to come back to the other one in just a second. Huddig seemed to be the rolls of the 180. So many attachments and even a man basket can be set up. I'd love one of these. I wonder why there's not many in the UK. Good point. I would imagine they are not cheap. Peter McKenna, going back to duck quacks, because, we do that. Duck quacks rather quietly, not the ones that I sit beside when I'm fishing. So the sound coming back is at a low level, might not be heard by a human ear, but can be heard with sensitive recording equipment like mine. I wonder if a duck quacked, whether I'd pick it up here. I wonder. Earl Fallon's just joined us over on Instagram. Now, there is a comment here from Dan Cullen, which leads me somewhere else. Surprised JCB hasn't done something similar to Huddig with the hybrid power and such. Now, there I was this morning perusing the interwebs when I stumbled across an article from Construction Index, which struck me as a little odd. Okay, here we are. That's the article in question, and I realise that's not particularly big or not particularly helpful, but it's the best I can do, I'm afraid. Or is it? Can I show it? Does that? No, that doesn't help. Does that help even more? No, it's that one I want. So the article in question, which I'm going over to now, says, where are the JCBs this election? The 2024 general election campaign has been marked by a distinct absence of JCBs. Has it? To paraphrase Jane Austen, it is a truth universally acknowledged that a British politician in want of high office must be in want of a JCB photo opportunity. Margaret Thatcher, John Major, Tony Blair, David Cameron and Boris Johnson all paid homage to the British manufacturer of the iconic backhoe loader, usually posing inside the cab. And although JCB and the Bamford family have been notable donors to the Conservative Party, Labour politicians have also made the pilgrimage to JCB's world headquarters in Staffordshire to be photographed with yellow steel. Well, Tony Blair did at least. But in 2024, nothing. Rishi Sunak apparently visited Nifty Lift, but not JCB. Neither Rishi Sunak nor Keir Starmer has visited the JCB factory nor operated a JCB machine this entire election campaign. What's going on? Has it occurred to anyone at Construction Index that maybe, having done it so many times, it's a bit naff now, a bit predictable? Or is it a fact, is that, as Jim Turner has just suggested, Lord Bamford has stepped away from the Conservatives? He has, and he's out of the House of Lords. He resigned from the House of Lords as well. So I wonder if that's, yes. Bit of an odd article. It's a strange thing. It's a strange thing to report on something that hasn't happened, if you get my drift. Did you know, says Mick Norton, that ducks get up at the crack of dawn? Yes. I used to get up at the crack of dawn, but Dawn got awfully upset about it. Matthew Sheridan from the Mighty Leap has just joined us. Good morning, Mr. Sheridan. Thank you for being here. Who's going to the duck do? There's a duck do? There is a duck do? What is this duck do of which you speak, Mr. Ford? Tell me more. Is this a JCB duck do, or is it something else? Let us know. Let us know in the chat, and we'll be back immediately after a smidgen of this. We're going to come back with a spot of high reach demolition, if you fancy a bit of that.
Since the finance bill came into effect in April, the construction industry has seen a surge of fuel thefts. The rising cost of living has placed an additional risk of theft by employees and contractors, as well as opportunistic thieves. By using diesel dye and placing warnings of its use, you are sending a clear message that this is your fuel.
Dan Cullen says, did you know I get up before the quack of dawn? I did know, because you immediately come on here and leave me messages. Who the duck started on about duck? I don't know. I have no control over this show whatsoever. I can control the buttons. Assuming I can keep enough power in it, I can control the mouse. The rest of it, completely down to you. I promised you some high-reach demolition, and high-reach demolition you shall jolly well have. In order to do it, we're heading off to Sweden, which is lovely. Have a look at this. I just need to point out, just because Matthew Sheridan arrived, that wasn't the reason we ended up playing Lee Bear films. It's just the way it panned out. I promise. There was no discussion beforehand. That's just the way it happened. Let's have a look. Peter McKenna. Got to go do some more work, folks. Catch you later, alligator, says Peter McKenna. And he also says, why did the duck get a second job? Because he had too many bills. Too many bills. Matthew Sheridan asks, what's with all the ducks? Do you know, I've not a clue. I've not a clue. We just ended up going down that path. Who started it? Who did start it? I can't remember. Something about a duck do. Chris Ford says, I might have a duck for starting. Okay. Maybe that was it. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Somebody had to, didn't they? Our question of the day today is, what movie sequel is better than the original? And we've already had suggestions of, my suggestion was The Godfather and Toy Story. I know somebody, I think it was Peter, no, it was Gary Muirhead, reckoned that Jaws 2 was better than Jaws 1. He is wrong, of course, quite clearly, because Jaws is the greatest film ever made. But Chris Ford has come up with his own suggestion. He says, Debbie Does Dallas, the uncut version. Okay, I made it up, but you never know. I wonder, is there a follow-up? Or had they had poor old Debbie had enough, having done Dallas the first time? I honestly don't know. I might have to duck out of this. Oh, enough with the wildfowl, people. Enough. Yes, let's get on with the show, because I want to go back to Hillhead, if you don't mind. Yeah, let's do that. Yes, I'm in agreement with Steve Williamson. Jaws 2 better than Jaws. You feeling okay, Gary? Yes, Gary. Give your head a wobble, my friend. Give your head a large-scale wobble. The scene on the boat, the USS Indianapolis and all of that, Mary Ellen Moffat, she broke my heart, marks Jaws, the original, as the greatest movie of all time. I will accept no argument on that whatsoever. Hillhead, yeah, we talked about Hillhead. Now, got a bunch of films. I can tell you very quickly, if I have a very quick gander down the bottom of my screen here, I can tell you that we are revisiting Hillhead several times in the next couple of days. We're going to see what Hillhead had on what Hitachi had on display. We're going to see what Komatsu had on display. We're also going to see what Liebherr had on display. Matthew Sheridan had nothing to do with it, but we did do that as well. Loads more films that are coming down the line. We've also got some stuff from the likes of Hammerglass, who hopefully will be on this show next week, just as a word of warning. But before we get to all that, we're going to go back to the Sunward stand. Now, Sunward, we filmed a couple of films with them, but the first one we filmed actually was with one of their dealers, a guy called Joseph Baton, or Joe Baton, up at Hampstead plant up in Kings Winford, who had this to say.
Okay, my name's Joe Baton. I am the director of Hampstead plant based in the West Midlands. At the start, it was a difficult journey. You know, people hadn't seen the product, didn't know the product. Difficult thing is getting people in the seat. Once they get in the seat, they have a look around the machine, they can see the quality and the premium build that's gone into it. The support from Sunward in Belgium has been fantastic. Spare parts availability has been very good. Ourselves at Hampstead plant, we've got 4 mobile engineers on the road, including 3 workshop-based engineers. So we've been able to back up what Sunward promised. So we've sold machines into waste sector, utilities, landscape gardening, building contractors, golf courses. The 90UF that's behind us has been a very popular machine. Again, premium product, Yanmar engine, KYB pump. This specific model has got a 2-piece boom. It's more suited to the European market, but we have recently sold one in the last couple of weeks to a customer in the UK. Mini range, everything from sort of micro up to 9 ton has been very, very popular. You're paying less and I feel that you're getting more. You know, most of the machines are spec'd up with hammer rotation circuits, air-conditioned cabs, premium cloth seats, full length seats, premium engines, premium hydraulic pumps. You've got a 5-year warranty. I don't think there's any reason why you wouldn't consider Sunward as a product to invest in.
Come back to Jim Turner in just a moment, but I'm going to say a very quick good morning to TCC Plant, who have just joined us over on Instagram, and also my mate Matt Phillips of Downward Demolition is also watching over on Instagram. Morning, Matt. Good to see you here, my friend. Jim Turner, talking about our friend Joe Baton, says, had the crack with him, and then Tom Armstrong about the price for a 1.8 ton Mini. Have to say, yeah, listen, I'm prepared to be shot down in flames. I said it at Plant Works, and I'm saying it again. I had a good look around the Sunward stand. Some of those products, the bee's knees. They absolutely are the bee's knees. Jim, you saw them. Tell me I'm wrong. Chris Ford says, I'm going to have to try and listen as I've got to play with my pecker. Chris, have fun with it. I'm sure he means a hydraulic breaker, but you can never be sure with Chris. Mick Norton says, post-Hillhead, I wonder if the manufacturers considered a success in influencing potential buyers. Do they ever publish sales figures? That's a tough one. That is a tough one. We did actually have the figures come through from Hillhead, the organisers, yesterday, and they said the attendance was just tiny bit shy of 20,000, but it was a new record. I think it was up 9% on the previous show or whatever it was. So yes. The problem you have with post Hillhead is I'd be very surprised if too many people went there and handed over a check. I don't think that's actually how exhibitions work. And, you know, by the time you factored in, you know, the renewal cycle of some people with their equipment fleets, they may have gone, let's take Sunward as an example. Somebody's in the market for a as Jim Turner just said, a 1.8 ton mini excavator. They go along, they have a look, and they think, oh, that Sunward looks the part. And then 6 months, 12 months, 18 months down the line, when their current 1.8 ton mini excavator is due for renewal, they go back and say, Sunward, do you remember we had a chat at Hillhead? So I think it's too soon to tell, and I think it will vary from stand to stand. One thing that I am aware of, though, is some of the companies that come in from overseas. And I know MB Crusher did that. I don't know if they did it this time. They certainly did it last Hillhead. And they brought a lot of product over from Italy with them, and then they were doing deals to sell the equipment off the stand, basically to save them shipping it back. We get to hear of a few of those, but we don't get to hear of all of those. It's a fair comment, though. Dan Cullen is saying good morning to Matt at Dalmore. Steve Williamson says these brands that say 5-year warranty really make it sound good, but it's normally 5 years warranty or 6,000 hours, and you do that in roughly 3 years, he says. I know a few brands offer that, not really a 5-year warranty unless you're not using them as much, like the mini ones, he says. Okay, confession of were there 2 confessions of a window cleaner? They managed to squeeze even more out of that empty carton, did they? I didn't know that. They were terrible, weren't they? I mean, when you're 14 years old, confessions of a window cleaner, because movie with boobs in it, oh, fantastic. When you look back at them now, how on earth did Robin Asquith steal a living for that long? I really don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe everybody else thinks he's Oscar worthy, but I very much doubt it. That pretty much wraps up the main part of this morning's show. I am going to roll the outro in just a second before leaping gazelle-like over into the chat to see what you're all saying today. I won't keep you for too long, unless you start talking about ducks or anything else, because obviously a lot of you have got to get off to go and put your cross in the respective box. So if you can't stick around, please stay safe. Look after yourself, your family, your friends, and your colleagues. I hope to see you again very, very soon. I'm going to say good morning to 10 Star Simulation, who have just joined us. The show will go on now that you've arrived, 10 Star Simulation. The show will go on. You've missed all the fancy video stuff, but we're just going to have a chat in a moment. So if you can't stick around, look after yourself. See you tomorrow. But if you do have the time and the inclination, I will be back with the Craic immediately after this final word from our key show sponsor. Have a look. Jim Turner says that Sunward remind me of Takuchi, and I really rate Takuchi machines, but I've got to have the crack with Lugong about reviewing their machines, so I might get a price from them. Oddly enough, here on my desk I have, there you go, I don't know if you can see that, Stephen Wilson, head of sales at Lugong. You need his number, Jim? Let me know, because his card happened to be sat on my desk. There was no plan to that whatsoever. That just happened to be the case. I'm going to go back through the chat in a second, but I do need to get some music underway because I sound a bit weird without. Let's have a look. I found, was it this one? Yes, that's the one I was after. Get that down to there. That's about right. Old Duck, concrete landed, have fabulous day, duckies, and stay safe and warm. As bloody cool today. Be careful. It's not cool here, it's lovely here. Where on earth are you? I wonder what brands is up next for a new design of machine. Volvo had theirs this year. Will there be more, I wonder? I will go back to the beginning of the chat. Steve, you've been around for long enough, you will know this. These things kind of go in cycles. Volvo have had their year, maybe Caterpillar, Komatsu. Komatsu have brought a lot out as well. But the thing to bear in mind is next year is a Bauma year. And particularly those manufacturers based in Europe, and I'm thinking specifically here of Liebherr, will be sitting on their hands. They've probably got something weird and wonderful up their sleeve as we speak, but they are keeping their powder dry until Bauma rolls around next April. The American brands, like your Caterpillars, your Cases, your John Deeres, usually sit on their hands until there's a Conexpo year. So we've got, my personal belief, unless I'm completely misjudging the situation, my personal belief is that we've now got 2 years. 2025 will be a big Bauma year, which is likely to be very, very big for the likes of Liebherr. And then the year after that will be Conexpo again, which should be big for Case, Cat, and John Deere as well. I wonder if there will be a Volvo demo next year at Balmer. I wonder as well. Ask the question. Wednesday next week, 7 p.m. I will have Bill Law, the head of communications at Volvo, right here on the show. You can ask him yourself. Ask away. Jim, they're all better than a Spear and Jackson, says Chris. Not sure what that relates to, but I'm going to go back. Our question of the day, which came from Gary Muirhead, was, if I remember rightly, what movie sequel is better than the original? I'm going to go back to Blimey. I thought I'd gone back all the way. There's loads more. Let's have a look. Yes, and by the way, I've already said it, but happy Independence Day to all of our US viewers. Thank you very much indeed for leaving us 250 odd years ago. Can't say I blame you. Lots of people taking part in our Tory or NFDC game this morning. Shame we only get to do it once because I really enjoyed the music. Loads of entries on that. Let's have. Oh, and there's another one there. Let's have a look. Where are we? Where is that question of the day? So there is the question of the day. What movie sequel is better than the original? And then we get into Peter McKenna reckons Batman. Now, I think you need to be more specific about that because I personally think the Tim Burton Batman with Michael Keaton as Batman was an absolute belter. But the Black Knight trilogy that, what's his face? What is the guy's name? Christopher Nolan did. I actually thought the third was the best. Maybe that's just me. Jim Turner, I'm 100% in agreement. I thought the original Terminator film was okay. Dystopian future and robots coming back from the future and Arnie being all Arnie and stuff. But number two, and I would say particularly because of the kid in it, Edward Furlong, who doesn't look great now. You seen him lately? Packed on a bit of timber, the fella. Does not look a well man at all. Steve Williamson says, Top Gun. The second was just awesome. Haven't seen it. And I haven't seen it mainly because I didn't think, if I were to ask to name my top 10 Tom Cruise movies, Top Gun would not be in it. Wouldn't be in it by a country mile. So, yeah, I may have to go back and have a look. Let's have a look. Top Gun Maverick. So there is some agreement there. There's Mark Whiting. Yeah, haven't seen that either. John Wick 2. I think John Wick is one of those rare movie franchises that has actually got better as they've gone along. I thought 1 was great, 2 was really good, 3 was great, and number 4 I thought was the best. But, personal preference and everything else. Jim Turner says, yes, Top Gun Maverick, good film, and the original wasn't. Did anybody else pick up on the, what did they refer to it as? The homosexual overtones of the first? I didn't, because I saw it when I was probably a teenager, and frankly, all of that went over my head. Were there homosexual overtones, undertones, any tones at all in the original Top Gear? All seemed a bit oiled bodies playing volleyball in very tiny shorts. Each to their own. Let's have a look. What else have we got here? Mick Norton says, the Bible, not as good as the book. He dies in the end. Oh, sorry, spoiler alert. Sorry. What else have we got here? Jaws 2. Oh, the bit with Roy Scheider and his son, where the son is mirroring what he's doing while he's having a drink because he's worried about and the whole USS Indianapolis. Mary Ellen Moffat, she broke my heart. Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Sorry, Gary, this is the one occasion where you and I most definitely do not see eye to eye. Going back to the Huddig, probably my favourite type of machine. Huddig is top, but that's as good. Yeah, isn't it weird that the Huddig does seem to have something of a cult following? The bizarre thing is, and maybe that's why it does have a cult following, I don't know, but when you think about sort of the major backhoe loader brands, the JCBs, the Caterpillar, the Case, and others, they're big companies, big marketing budgets, and and all of that kind of thing. Whereas Huddig kind of, I wouldn't say they keep themselves to themselves. They do what they do very, very well. but they do have that cult following. Like I said, I reckon they were like Alfa Romeo, but I know Jim Turner actually said he reckoned they were more like the Mercedes Unimog, and I think he's got a point. Yeah, I wouldn't say mass appeal, but those that love the Huddig really love the Huddig. What else have we got here? See, that was the thing. That was what started it. Who's going to the duck do? No idea what that meant, and and then everybody piled in on all things duck related. I've lost the will to try and follow the conversation in this show sometimes. Let's have a look. Andy Darvell has just joined us. Says, morning, morning, morning. He also says, question of the day, Mad Max is great, but Mad Max 2 is awesome. Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think that's one of those occasions where budget had a lot to do with it. I think the original Mad Max, the Mel Gibson Mad Max, was... are we talking the Mel Gibson ones, or are we talking the latest, Tom Hardy and Furiosa and that kind of thing? But either way, I think budgets help. The original Mad Max was good, but it was a very low budget indie Aussie film, and then obviously they had a huge success with it, so when they came back they could do a lot more with it. Jim Turner says, amen to that, Chris. Anything is better than a 1RB. What was that all about? There was... I'm sure that relates back to a comment earlier, but there we are. They're all better than a Spear and Jackson. That's what that relates to, I think. Yeah, the original Mad Max. The new ones are good, but the originals are the best in my opinion. And isn't it funny? Isn't it funny how the whole of the Mad Max movies is basically fights and stuff, territoriality over oil and fuel. Feels like the UK did about 2 and a bit years ago when we had the fuel crisis. Yes, I wanted to grow myself a Mohican and go roaming the streets with a big knife in my hand. I didn't, you know. Greenwood Street Contractors just joined us. I think I'm reading that right. Good morning. Porky's too. Do you remember the Porky's movies? It was the American Pie of my era, is how I would describe it. But yeah, quite funny. And there is an expression. I think it's in the original Porky's. There is an expression in that where somebody's undercarriage, the male undercarriage, is referred to as his tallywhacker. Still makes me laugh. All these, what is that, 40 odd years ago? Tallywhacker, yes. Question of the day, The Wrong Trousers is better than Grand Day Out. The Wrong Trousers is a magnificent film. I have to say, I'm a huge fan of everything that Aardman does. Just so very British, and yet so clever and so well observed and so funny. So funny. I mean, the penguin disguising himself as a chicken with a rubber glove on his head. I'm sorry, but that's genius. I realise I'm setting the bar fairly low for genius here, but it really is a fantastic movie. Totally agree with that. I think that's probably going to do us, because as I say, I do know I'm very conscious of the fact that if you're in America, you need to... What do Americans do on Independence Day? Do they burn the British flag, or do they eat pumpkin pie, or is that Thanksgiving? I don't know. But whatever it is the Americans do on Independence Day, have a fantastic time. I'm sure there'll be fireworks aplenty or something like that. If you're over here, I would imagine the fireworks will be tomorrow, either in celebration or desperation, one of the two, when we know what our new government might look like. Let's be absolutely honest. Whatever it looks like, we're not going to like it, are we? It doesn't matter who you vote for, the government always gets in. Yeah, that'll be us tomorrow. So yes, join us tomorrow while we either celebrate or lick our wounds or do something in between. And thank you very much indeed for your participation in our brand new one in a lifetime new game show, Tory or NFDC. I enjoyed it enormously. Everybody have a fantastic day, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a good one. All the best.